Here we are, and welcome back. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been on the football show. Myself, Mark, Kyle, and Imran had a little bit of a break. These guys have got university assignments to look after.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Make sure they can pass their course.
Thank you, Sam.
How you doing, guys? What's going on?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm good. I'm in black tonight. I wouldn't normally bring out the black, but I think it's well worth bringing the black out tonight.
You have to mourn Arsenal's title hope.
Have you joined the bandwagon as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think
You think it's all over for them?
yeah, we haven't had a show since the Liverpool game, but I think that point where you could just see the momentum was tipping, and City. Trust me, as a Liverpool fan, I know firsthand, City and the title running are just unbelievable.
Man, I don't know, man. I'm clinging on to whatever little hope there is, but it is fading by the day. So and it's fading a little bit like Arsenal's title hopes. Yeah, absolutely right. But I don't know where to turn though, man. I don't know where to turn, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. So this is the football show. We are back looking at game week 33, a long one, and there are quite a couple of long weeks coming up. Anything stood out for you in this particular game week other than that, thumping defeat by Arsenal?
I mean, it was the fifth loss for Frank Lampard again. So
Well, that's a good diversion. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we haven't spoken since Lampard
true.
arrived back at Chelsea. What did you make of that reappointment, man?
We haven't really discussed Potter's sacking either, have we?
Well,
yeah, it was coming. I think Lampard's reappointment was an interesting one because I think nobody was really expecting us to say, okay, we're going to have a manager till the end of the season and then we'll decide who our manager would be. I think that decision would have made a little bit more sense had we been knocked out in the last 16 of the Champions League. But I was saying, even when Potter was in charge, I would have personally stuck with Potter until we were out the Champions League. And the sole reason for that is there isn't a single manager on the planet, no matter how good they are, that could come into the squad with like 780 different players.
Wow.
Pick a starting 11 to face Real Madrid with their countless Champions Leagues. So I think
Poch thinks he can do it.
In one game, I mean, he had one game. He had one game to decide an 11 to face Real. It would have been miraculous, but I think I would have just put more. I'm not saying I had an absolutely massive amount of faith, but I think I would have had more faith in Potter to just steer us in. Granted, we did get not demolished, but we didn't really stand a chance against Real Madrid. And so, coming into the Premier League now, we've scored 1 goal in 6 games. That's including the Champions League games. So, it's not looking good.
You are playing Arsenal on Tuesday, so things might turn around.
However, it was interesting to see against Brent. I mean, it was. I can't even remember. I don't think since Brentford have been promoted, we've got any points off them. Okay, I tell a lie. We drew 2-2 last season, so that's 1. Hooray! But for the first time, it was really interesting in the second half. Lampard brought Aubameyang on, and I was like, "Whoa!"
I mean, Imran, have you got any kind of sympathy for Chelsea? Because I struggle to find it.
Honestly, I just want to say, I actually think how bad this Chelsea season is actually being understated. I think out of the top 6 clubs in my life, I can't remember
awful.
a worse season for a top 6 club. If you think about it, they haven't reached the 40-point mark, and we're 30.
No, they haven't.
And that's not even with the context that they've spent £600 million. It's unbelievable how bad a season Chelsea are having with the amount of money they've spent. And I don't even hate the Lampard appointment so much. I'm happy that they got an interim manager rather than throwing someone in at the deep end straight away again. We're going to wait till summer, but God, Lampard is an awful manager.
He is. And Everton look like they might be playing championship football in that brand spanking new stadium up by you.
Oh, that would be a bit embarrassing for them.
It would be.
£1 billion stadium, and just to play championship football would be quite the story. And yeah, it doesn't seem like Daesh can breathe new life into this.
I have to say, Newcastle is a really interesting one for me as a Trippier owner right now, because I was having a look at the team this morning. It's like Newcastle have scored 10 goals in their last 2 games, and Trippier has been involved in 0 of them. And
wow.
Like,
yeah, he's let me down very badly. He's let me down very badly. Very badly.
Props to Newcastle, because they can't stop scoring at the moment. It's very impressive.
Yeah. And, shout out to Unai Emery, who is doing a tremendous job at Aston Villa, You've got to wonder if Emery was in charge of the. Anyway, don't let me say that. We can't live in the past. Huge talking point, of course, was the 4-1 at the Etihad on Wednesday night. And I'll be honest, it's the first time that I've been watching a football match and I thought, you know what, it's like when somebody's beating up on your kids and you just want to go and grab them and say, come, or tell them, stop. I felt like running onto the field and saying, Man City, come man, stop this now, stop this. It was that bad, honestly. They were toying with us, man. I felt awful. Okay. They really were. But I think we are where we are. We've lost our momentum completely. We haven't won a game since the 1st of April. Even that is looking like an April Fool. But, it's what it is. We won a game against Leeds, and we didn't win another game in April. So, who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I mean, Imran did give us the warning. I think it would have been 2 shows ago now that once you get to February, City just don't stop winning. It's a weird place to be. I mean, not that I can at all
identify.
Like, yes. You know what I mean? Know what it's like to have City on my tail in the back end of a season. But the way that City just transform themselves after February it's really strange. I don't think there's any other team that I've seen that does that.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Real Madrid in the Champions League, but that's completely separate.
Yeah.
Like the way City just completely transform after February is really strange to me. Like they just don't lose.
Well, I'm just hoping for a hiccup now. My hopes rest on Fulham and West Ham this coming week. So look, let's just hope. But fair play to them. They completely outclassed us. We cannot complain about it. They look like champions. It's a fantastic team. I have to say, we slated Jack Grealish a lot last season, but this season he has come into his own and he's, fitted into the City way of playing and he's become so dangerous going down that left side for City. So John Stones has been transformed very silently into a player who started to pick up goals and do a really great job for City. Look, we can't. What can we say?
Yeah,
they outplayed us. I think end of story.
Ultimately, it stems from. It's the easy thing to say, but it's there because it's true. Is that they are just experienced winners, whereas Arsenal, you feel almost still have like an inferiority complex to City, which is fair enough, like considering the age of the squad and where they are in their project. So
that was a concerning thing about Wednesday night. We looked inexperienced. We looked scared. We looked as though we didn't belong there, and that was the bit that really made me feel as though, man, I hope this doesn't sink into the rest of the remaining games because the confidence is completely shattered. But, our confidence might be gone, but we still have our manager. The angry looking guy there on the right, Stellini, he lost his job.
What a Spurs,
man. Listen, if you're looking for some joy, talking about Spurs will bring it for you, man.
Yeah.
I don't understand what is going on. And we got quite a few guys on the group page on Facebook who are Spurs fans who always point the fingers one place. Daniel Levy.
Man.
He is the problem.
The most frustrating thing from my perspective is that on paper, it just looks like Spurs should be having an even worse season than us, and yet we're still almost 8 places below them. And it's like, I don't understand. Like, I mean, I think I made the point last week among friends that there's no better summary of Spurs season than that game against Newcastle, where it just absolutely went like awfulness within minutes, and somehow within all of that, Harry Kane still scored, and you're like, somehow that didn't happen all season. Like
he's still banging them in. He's still getting the goals.
Unbelievable season.
Terrible game. And then Harry Kane out of nowhere. The goal, by the way, was absolutely incredible. But like, I just don't understand how it happens every single game.
But you got to really ask questions about Kane's career,
Yeah, no,
because this doesn't feel right, man. You're scoring all these goals for no particular purpose. Mason is the new man in the seat. And, he got a 2-2 draw last night, which was decent.
Fair enough. Yeah,
coming from 2-0 down.
To be fair, because I watched the game, the first half was terrible. Like, it was absolutely terrible, man. They could have gone even further down. I think Bruno missed it. Well, I think Bruno should have got man of the match in that game. I don't know if he did, but I think he missed 2 big chances in the first half that allowed Spurs to get back into the game in the second half. But I have to say, the two half performances were like day and night. Like Spurs came out in the second half and played football. So
Yeah, but it's the usual up and down at Tottenham Hotspur, and every season seem to have so much promise, but then deliver absolutely nothing.
Just to point on that quickly, it's the new norm for Antonio Conte as well. To fall out with the owners and leave, it's just he does it too many times now for him to be trusted with another job, in my opinion.
Well, that felt like a very, very weird conjuring up of Conte's exit from Spurs. And I suspect that he just wanted out and needed to find a way out because he recognized that this is not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. But the big question here in this particular talking point is if Man United win, they've won a trophy already this season.
Yeah.
And if they finish third, and of course they could still win the FA Cup, but I'm not even going to say that, but suppose they do. And Arsenal finish with nothing and don't win the league, who's had a better season?
I mean, it very much reminds me of a conversation we were having. I really cannot remember. I think Imran will confirm or deny it, but I know for a fact that me and you had a conversation last season, or maybe the season before, when Liverpool it was last season, when Liverpool lost the Champions League. Mm-hmm. And we were there saying, right, so if we just compare everybody's seasons, right, they've won the league, they got knocked out in the semis of the Champions League. Did they win any? They didn't win any of the domestic cups. So it was
won both,
so it's just Premier League, got to the semis of the Champions League. Liverpool won both of the domestic cups. They got to the final of the Champions League and they finished second in the league. And then Chelsea got to the final of both the domestic cups, got knocked out in the quarters and finished third in the Prem. And you're there comparing all three of those seasons. And you're like, well, I can't really say that any of them are particular failures. And I mean, me personally, you can judge me all you want, but I really think that City should be winning at least a treble every season. And that's a completely separate conversation.
It is.
But like you're there thinking, City have gone and won the Prem. Liverpool have got to all find. Imran was making the point for us last season that they literally played every game possible last season.
Yep.
And you're there like, but they won what, 2 trophies, and both of them were the domestic FA and
but the challenge.
So you're like, is that a successful season though?
Well, I'm sure Arsenal would take a trophy right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what is success? It's very subjective.
So what's your mark?
I feel I would have to regrettably say that United would have had a better season.
Wow.
Regrettably, right?
Do you disagree, man?
I do disagree,
only because I think Arteta's objective at the beginning of the season would have been Champions League. First and foremost. That would have been the primary objective. Okay. However, to have delivered what they have delivered up to February, March, you've got to go on and win the league title.
Right.
You absolutely have to.
Mm-hmm.
Anything less than that, I can't see if United now go on and even with one trophy and finishing third, United could easily say they've had a better season. We've had a hard season and overachieved, but we haven't won anything.
I would say if United grab the FA Cup as well, then I would say I'd lean towards United. But I think second and third, you got to add context to that. Come on, we can all look at the table and see that and look across the season. Arsenal have pushed this Pep City team in the title race. Whereas
they haven't pushed anything. we got pushed out the Etihad on Wednesday night, man. Come on.
Up until 2 weeks ago, there was a big title race on between Arsenal and City, no matter which way you look at it. And the Arsenal fans would bite your hand off for that this time last season if they told you that you're going to be in a title race in the last 10 game weeks with City. So you look at that and compared to a League Cup, which doesn't hold much weight, I would still say that the progression that Arsenal have made means their season is better and that will show in next season when Arsenal will beat Man United once again.
Man, look, you see this next season thing that people are always talking about, it never happens. Well, it was like last season with Liverpool when you were in all those finals. I said to you, this is the peak season for Liverpool.
I think what's interesting is that next season...
It doesn't happen. This next season thing never happens.
But if you look at Arsenal's squad compared to where our squad had been at the top for 4 years with an aging squad. Yours is a young squad and it's his first season.
Yeah, but a young squad who have probably recognized, you know what, we can't do it. That becomes quite a psychological thing in next season.
Well, that's on the manager then and the squad to rebuild the confidence. And if he's a good enough manager who'll be able to do it, go year after year, that's what you have to do to be a top team.
It does, but I am bitterly disappointed because I don't think you can get to where we've got to this season and come home penniless. Nah, man.
I mean,
I'm not having it.
First of all, as a Chelsea fan, there's nothing more I want than the beginning of next season. But like, as somebody who could basically, because this time last year, I was sat here saying this season could not have gotten any better. Like the only way, like think about it, we got to both finals and lost both of them on penalties. Like that's insane. To get to both, like the only way I think any of it could have gone better is if we did beat Real Madrid and got knocked out by City in the semis, which would have been even more heartbreaking. But it did hurt a lot to be better than Real Madrid in the second leg and still lose. But I really don't think that season last season could have got any better, which is why everybody was so bitter about Tuchel leaving at the beginning of this season. But like last season could not have gotten any better, but we were trophyless.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I guess the difference between us last season and you this season is that you haven't reached any of the finals.
No, and we've got to go on and win the league, you know, and that's out of our hands. But and as you said, it's down to the manager. But the guy on the right there, who you know, in our closed season, Patrick Vieira got sacked, and I was really surprised that they did that. But I was even more surprised that they brought back Hodgson. Because I was like, there's no way they're going to bring back Hodgson. But you know what? They've just lost their first game under him last week. And he's absolutely turned him around.
They lost that game, but from what I'm hearing from Wolves fans, it was a very lucky scoreline.
Yeah. Like
Palace were apparently the better side, but they just happened to lose 2-0. And I mean, I can't remember if one of them was a set piece, but I think neither of the goals were particularly spectacular, which I would know about because Wolves bodied us a couple of weeks ago with a spectacular goal. But yeah, I think it's interesting to hear that Palace were the better side in that game because they've been the better side in the majority of the games they played since Hodgson came back. He's got them playing some very good football.
It's very funny that the reason Hodgson got sacked in the first place from Palace was that the football was becoming a bit too defensive and they have really good talented youngsters like Eze and ANALYSER that weren't playing and weren't coming to fruition. And he's come back a year and a half later and he's doing those exact things that he failed to do. So ANALYSER and Eze are thriving and he's playing much more attacking football. So maybe in his break, he realised his mistakes and has come back to avenge it.
Well, he's gone. I don't even know if he's. I don't even think he's going to be the manager at the beginning of next season. So they're going to still be back in the same place. Yeah. But fair play to the guy. He's shown what that experience brings, and it is that experience that I think has kind of let Arsenal down in this run-in. The manager's experience a little bit. I thought he was too subdued on the touchline the other night at the Etihad. It was almost like he was a little bit enamored in the occasion, and did not. To me, it wasn't a typical Arteta touchline performance, being in complete control of what's happening, making sure his players are being instructed. The experience got evaporated somehow. Roy Hodgson has gone back in that Palace and he's really shown, when you've got that experience, man, you've got to make it count. It got to be valuable. So fair play to the guy.
I think it comes back to what I was saying earlier about the inferiority complex. Like, two of your star signings were City rejects, if you like, in Jesus and Zinchenko, and then you've also got Arteta, who worked under Pep Guardiola for so many years. True. And you just feel like you obviously it's just the feel of being confident enough to go toe to toe with them isn't quite there yet, and whether you can gather that for next season remains to be seen.
Man, anyway, I'm going to leave this next season talk for another show. As I said, this next season thing never happens. Look into the Fantasy League. This is the business end now, the run-in.
Yep.
And the table. To be honest, this top 10 has been looking this way for about 6 or 7 weeks now. It's not really changing that much, and Arjun is running away with it, man. You guys bought him to the league. What do you think?
Yeah, you can blame us for this one, fair. But yeah, he's absolutely flying, and like we said, like without a doubt now, like this is easily the longest reign anyone's had at the top of our league. But like it's been so difficult to catch him. Like you see there, like you think one day, like every time he has a slip up, I message Imran. He's probably sick of it now. He's like, oh, guess what? 10 points on his bench. Come on. And even then, he's still got he's not the person with the least points in the top 5. Like he's there, and yet still we've got Emmy with 40. Like it's just so frustrating sometimes when you see how accurate he is with his player selections.
Yeah, and he's been very, very, very consistent over the whole course of the season. So you can't really fault the guy. It is his to lose though. But I said that about Arsenal about 8 weeks ago. I was probably a little bit too early, but it's his to lose now, and I guess we got to see how he's going to bring it home because still quite a few important games to come. You're our man in the midfield, Imran.
I think it's time that I give up on this season. It's going to
be you've lost interest, man.
Yeah, I think I did a big rebuild the other week, and like some of my unlucky decisions were just so bad that it just caused me to be like, okay, I think this season's finally a write-off. I think it's going to be my lowest ever finish in this league, and we go again next season.
So that means you're going to have to do a big summer clear out and a big regroup.
Yep, of course.
He's basically the Liverpool of our league.
Yes. Agent players and all that. This is very interesting, the way that your fantasy Premier League form has kind of matched somewhat Liverpool's form, even though they've hit a little bit of form in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, very much so.
Kyle is our man in the top half. You're our man in the midfield, and look, I'm the man in the bottom half. I'm tanking at the moment, man. 24th is awful, and it doesn't feel as though I'm going to get myself out of the 20s anyway, because that's where I've been most of the season.
There, goodness me,
and the guys around me keep coming. There's a point in it.
Goodness me.
So, Hussein Wilshere, Chesterfield Brown, and even Adam Bonham down there is only 7 points off. They keep coming, but the points have not come for me, man. So I'm a little bit frustrated with that. But let's look at Arjun in a little bit more detail and see how he picked up 57 points in game week 33 then. Where did it go well for him?
I mean, you look at it, and there I am celebrating it. He's got like 13 points or whatever that is on his bench. But at the same time, you just look at that spread across the field. And I messaged Imran, like, I think it must have been 2 weeks ago now, because I was thinking, everybody's having a buzz about Trent this whole season, but I'm kind of tempted to bring him into my team for the back end of this.
He's only had a couple of good games, man. Come on.
He sat there with 5 points, so you can't really argue with that.
Couple of good games, man. He's not been that great this season.
But but Arjun clearly went with that decision, and it paid off. I think I didn't. I can't even remember who I went for now, but it clearly didn't pay off. In fact, no, it did, because I brought in Fabian Schär, and it worked very well. So boom. But my point really is that he picks up these points across the board. I think the point I really have to make is that there are 11 million players of this thing worldwide, and he's currently ranked like 244,000, which is ridiculous.
No, that's incredible for our league. Actually.
Like being the top 250,000 in the world.
That is pretty impressive commitment. I wonder what is his strategy. What's he sitting down doing at the weekends, thinking up these teams that he's going to put up?
I think he plays it in a way, basically, like simplistically. I think he just picks on form and doesn't tinker too much, and I think that's worked perfectly for him, especially because in the last few weeks he hasn't been getting like mind-blowing scores.
No, he hasn't. He's slowed somewhat, actually.
I always slate Imran for it, but Imran is quite well known for taking points hits for no reason. But what's interesting is that Arjun isn't afraid of a points hit either. I've noticed.
Oh, really?
There are plenty of weeks where he'll happily take a points hit.
Oh, fair enough.
But it seems to work out very well every single time.
Yeah, because he recovers it very well. He seems to come back and recover it quite well, even though he might take the hit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he is looking as though he is going to be the champion of this league. I might have called it. I might call it early, and he might slip up.
Just look at that, man. It's game week 33, and he's playing a wild card. Like, how well do you have to plan that to have a wild card in game week 33?
Yeah.
While still being like 244,000. Like, that is
fair play to the guy.
Class. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, you just got to applaud it.
Yeah, fair play.
You just know that he's mapped out this team for the back end of the season.
Well, between the three of us, you beat us by some distance this last game week, Carl. In fact, you doubled the points. Double the points actually. Yeah. So you got 70 across your team. Talk us through what the plan was.
Well,
you seem to be quite committed to this chase.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily the chase of Arjun, but I think I'm more now focused on Wayne Skeet, to be honest. I think we'll see in the analyzer in a second just how frustrating it is to constantly be 1 point behind him for the entire week. But I think this more than anything shows that not many people like focus on it, but your keeper selection can be very important.
Yeah.
Because I had the choice this week. Obviously, Brentford are playing Chelsea, and so to be honest, it was a no-brainer to put Raya in goal. But it was really interesting to see that he picked up the 9 points with the 6 points of me as well. It was really like I wasn't watching the Newcastle game because I was watching the United game, but I think Cher scored in the 96th minute, so I was absolutely buzzing. And then I actually have no idea why, but it was disallowed in the end. So he got. And what's interesting with Newcastle is that even though they keep racking up these massive goal tallies, they keep conceding goals. And I think I messaged Imran yesterday to say that Edison's only got, what was it, 11? 10, yeah. Like that, like he got 20 last season overall and 90 the season before in the Prem. And you're there, like the Golden Boot race is very up for the grab. And
oh yeah,
the Golden Glove even. And Nick Pope is, I don't know what it is. They just they conceded one against Everton, they conceded one against Spurs, and I don't know what it is about Newcastle that they just don't keep clean sheets, but they don't. Anyway, there's also that 3 of Brighton, which is it's definitely the reason I'm still fourth, 100%. Like,
well, they didn't have a very good week.
They didn't. I was late on the Matoma train, but I was glad that I managed to get on the end of it.
Tell you what, he's somewhere in Wan-Bissaka's pocket still after last weekend.
I mean, to be fair, mate, Wan-Bissaka against Son yesterday, especially in the first half, was fantastic.
I read a surprising stat today, actually, that Wan-Bissaka across the 5 leagues in Europe is the number 1 for one-to-one duels. There's nobody better in Europe at the moment.
Really good one-to-one.
I was incredibly surprised at that, actually.
It's always been his main strength. Yeah.
Wow, he's really, really good. So and you know he saw off Matoma with relative ease in the FA Cup semi-final last weekend, which is surprising because that doesn't happen very often.
No.
From a guy who wrote his dissertation on dribbling, which I found out recently as well. He's quite a good player though. But yeah, good player to have in the team.
Yeah, it's always it's a difficult decision whether I've got to captain one of them between Matoma and March, because you never know which one's going to turn up on the day. Yeah. And as you see, March got the assist in that game. But yeah, that front three has been like smashing it for weeks. It's just a bit frustrating that Watkins didn't come and deliver for the first time since Emery has come. I think he didn't have a goal involvement.
I've come late to the Watkins train. Anyway. Imran and I shared the points, but you go ahead, man. You take the second place between us.
Well, when I was
14th.
This is a quite depressing look, isn't it?
Well, let's get a closer look then.
Gosh, I mean, yeah.
Where's it going wrong for you, man? What's going on?
Where's it going right? I mean,
who were Liverpool playing that you captained Salah this week?
He captained Salah regardless of who they play. It doesn't make a difference.
Salah had scored, I think, in 3 games in a row, so I thought I might put him in. Who did he play?
I think he scored against Leeds previous week as well.
Yeah, he scored against Leeds, scored against Forest, but we were West Ham away. So it was a risk that I took, but I was like, at this point, I might as well go for differentials every single week because it doesn't really matter too much, to be honest, because everybody's going to go for Haaland, so I might as well just pick someone else. Looking across the midfield, I mean, Martinelli didn't provide. Bruno did, but that Eze in there is quite interesting.
Hold up. Did Isak not get the assist for that assist yesterday?
I think he must have got taken off. Yeah.
Oh man, that's peak.
Yeah. I mean, because I think when I did the rebuild a couple of weeks ago, I was really heavily debating between Eze and Elise, and I went, let me go for Elise, and Eze decided to score 2 and then 1 the game after.
He's too inconsistent for me.
I brought Eze back in and then Eze blanks. So
he just seems to have these great games and then he just goes missing for 3 or 4 and then he comes back and have another good game. It's like, come on, man, we need some consistency from. And he's a good player.
Yeah, I know he's a very good player when he's on it. And as Carl said, clean sheets in this league don't exist anymore. My defenders, awful.
Fair enough. I can't really fault that because I had the same amount of points as you, but you see, there's a 2 in front of my 4, whilst there's a 1 in front of yours. So and that's there for a reason. Across the middle, I took a chance with Phil Foden because I thought he might do something against Arsenal.
10 on the bench.
Didn't happen.
15 points on your bench there.
Man, don't mention it. I was there mulling over Gakpo or Eze, and I was like, man, let me take out Gakpo because I don't think he's going to do anything. And then the guy goes and scores and
he's
scores
in
10
decent
points.
form, by the way.
He's in very good form.
He is, but I got that completely wrong. I've been too committed to Ederson this season, but I don't generally change my keeper. But that's going to be a strategy that we'll have to change. And I came too late to the Watkins strain. Even though I got 1 or 2 goals out of him, but he's gone off the boil a little bit recently.
I mean,
and you know, when Haaland scored the other night, I was like, I'm not captaining this guy against Arsenal. There's no way he's going to get a goal.
Ramsdale was on fire against Haaland in that game, though. I have to say, I don't know. Like it's like Ramsdale had a vendetta. Like you've been dreaming about it all week. Like he was absolutely certain that Haaland wasn't going to score in that game.
We wanted to at least come away with another point, at least. But there you go. I'm done. I'm done, man. I don't really see where I can go now in this league, to be honest, and people are chasing me down. But this is the story of the 3 of us, you know, and this is only from game week 18. We've sliced it off from the previous half of the season. But you can clearly see there, Kyle, you're very consistent in that top half of the league, you know, chasing after Wayne.
Look at that, like third, fourth for like since game week.
Just boxing around.
It's so frustrating because you look at that and it's like there's always 1 point. Look at that, game week 30, there's 59 versus 58. Game week 31, 78 versus. You know how demoralizing that is.
Yeah, but he smashed them in game week 29. You know, 123 to 111. Even though he got 100 as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
You got 2 points on him in game week 28, but he keeps getting away. You're forming, Imran. You know, after the peak and highs of game week 26.
Yep. I just went downhill from there.
Which you were saying, I've turned it around.
It is very much like Liverpool this season. You're right. And as soon as we hit a peak, like beating Man United 7-0, we'll go and lose to Bournemouth 1-0 away, which is what I've been doing consistently for the last 6 weeks.
But the thing is, your points are still high. I mean, 83, 70, 83, and then it's just falling off the cliff there now. You know, down through the mid-table. Mm-hmm. But I can't really say anything. I peaked a long time ago with 106 points in game week 23. Never been back there, and I've never been out of the bottom half of the table since game week 25. So you know, and tanking further, as you can see from this week. So it's all down to you, Kyle. Really.
well I'm the hopes for the show.
You are. You're the hopes for the show. So, you know, see what you can do and see if you can overtake Wayne. It's between the 3, you know, but Imran and I are completely out of it now, man.
It's interesting because I remember at the beginning of the season, I think we made the point that the season before was very much dependent on your choice in defenders. And I think we were trying to figure out what it would be this season. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we said the majority of people go for Haaland, and it'll be interesting to see who else gets picked in that front line, because I think for the first 8 weeks, Gabriel Jesus was the most popular player. Yeah. And then everybody was like debating between Mitrovic, Kane, etc., etc. But I think as the season's gone on, everybody's choice in midfielders has been massive. Yeah. Because you've got the likes of Rashford, who's like, I mean, we'll get to the Golden Boot race in a second, but I think the majority of people in that race, surprisingly, are in the midfield line of Fantasy Premier League. Mm-hmm. Like you've got your Gakpo, who's actually like the in midfielder for FPL. You've got your Salah, Rashford, Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish. They're all Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Trossard, Toma, March. They're all midfielders. So your choice in midfielders this season is very, very and I think crucial.
The spread of midfielders has been a lot bigger because normally you'll have a banker of Bruno, Salah, or Son.
Yeah.
Well, Salah has managed to get his way up there now. But Son, especially, is still, 8 goals this season, which is so poor.
He's had a poor season, though.
Very
by his standard. You know,
Bruno, for the goals he normally gets, hasn't been as on it as usual. So I think the high price midfielders haven't been as needed. So that gives you a lot of budget for the midfield, and you can spread that across so many different players.
Yeah, it is. And when we started to talk about the sack race back in August, you know, when Scott Parker got sacked, we would never have seen that over the course of this season. Every month, bar the World Cup month, we were going to see a couple of sackings. You know, this has been incredible to go through the Premier League this season and think about all the managers who've come and gone. And I've put Chelsea, Southampton, and Spurs there on the left as the kings of the sack.
Of the sack race.
Kings of the sack. Now, I mean, the removal of Tuchel felt really premature from Chelsea. That just feels as though really that is the fundamental point at which Chelsea kind of lost their way this season. Really, because there's no way Tuchel should have gone.
Not a chance. I mean, it's interesting when you look at clubs like Nottingham, because I don't know why, but I have a soft spot for Nottingham Forest. And it's really interesting when you look at the state that they're in, and you
Cooper's he's still clinging on.
You know, I mean, you wouldn't have been shocked if Cooper had been sacked, but everybody is so insistent on him staying. Then he went and got a point at Anfield, which was a shock, by the way. I think they could have gone on and won that game, if I'm honest. They lost, and then they went and beat Brighton, and so you're looking at them now, and you're like, man, if they stay up, then it's a very good decision from their part to keep Cooper. But you look at all these sackings, and you're like, we're very trigger happy in this league, aren't we?
Well, we had 2 in a day in April, which, that doesn't happen very often in the Premier League. So we had Rodgers and Potter on the same day, which was,
It was hilarious when people were like, I wonder if Rodgers is going to go to Chelsea. And you're like, he's just been sacked. Not even hours have gone. And he's like, goodness me. Yeah.
I think he probably stayed at Leicester for a little bit too long, if I'm honest. He probably stayed there longer than he probably needed to, maybe. And the other one that's going to be interesting to see what happens with him next is Steven Gerrard. Interesting that Lampard has been ushered back in at Chelsea. And, these two always seem to parallel each other.
I think, I mean, you could say the same for Lampard. Like, once he goes at the end of the season, where's he going to end up next?
Well, they never seem to go abroad.
I think Imran made that point last time we spoke about it. It was like, it's very little chance of them going abroad, if we're being honest, because I don't think the caliber of manager that they are has the expertise as yet to prove themselves abroad.
Gerrard, I still don't like people grouping Gerrard with Lampard. Lampard is much more of a failure in his management career so far. Gerrard is 1 for 1. So he's done well at Rangers and in Europe, but he's obviously didn't do too well at Villa. So I still think that there's opportunity for Gerrard. I think he should go to the Championship and earn his dues there.
You don't think Frank did a good job at Derby?
I think he did an okay job at Derby, considering he had Fikayo Tomori, Mason Mount, etc. on loan. But then his job at Everton has been awful, and I don't need to say anything about this Chelsea run either.
Even at Chelsea, the only thing that you can really say about him is that the work that he did with the academy because of the transfer ban.
Yeah.
No one can take that away from him, but that is quite literally the only W he has at the club.
Yeah. Well, we're not talking about that when he's managing, one of the largest sides in the Premier League, with all of these players that they've got, and they can't find an 11.
I mean,
poor
you should have seen my reaction when I read the starting lineup for the second leg against Real Madrid.
Oh my God.
What was it? Was it Conor Gallagher, Sterling,
and Kante as the attackers?
Like you were...
Wow.
It just boggles. What a clown show Chelsea have been this season. Unbelievable.
You just have to laugh, man. If you don't,
you do. But I think we can call time on the sack race now. We don't expect anybody else to be removed before the end of the season, all right?
Well,
unless Spurs, the gift that keeps on giving. Spurs might go and get hammered somewhere and decide, we've got room for one more. So let's wait and see where that one goes. But we talked about him right at the very start of this season.
Yeah.
Not being very clear, how many he will get. We knew he was going to get goals.
Yep.
And then this graphic emerging game week 19 showing the progress that he was making compared to previous Golden Boot winners from years past. And we've just carried on with it.
Yeah.
But you can see Haaland is just incredible in terms of the performance that he's putting in this season. 49 goals overall, 33 in the Premier League. Astonishing figures. I really let his hair down the other night against Arsenal. It was like, oh my God, the guy is getting angry. So where do you think he's going to finish up?
Wow. Sky's the limit, honestly.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking at that 40.
Yeah.
Like waiting for it to break. It really is just terrifying. It just leaves me speechless every game. I think that again, that Arsenal game really just sums it up really, because Ramsdale, I don't know what on earth. It's like he had a vendetta or something, but he was on fire against Haaland on was it Wednesday night, and then somehow in the 94th minute he scores.
Well, I'll tell you who wasn't on fire. Rob Holding wasn't on fire.
I think. I had a conversation. This was like a week ago before the City game. I think he was saying that the downfall of Arsenal season really started once Saliba was injured.
100%.
And
that's it.
Yeah, they're right. Like there's no way to sugarcoat that. Like I think Saliba is such an important figure in your defense.
No. If you remember, right? We had a show a few weeks ago when we asked the question right after the transfer window: has Arteta done enough business? Remember that show? And I was saying, you know what? I think he needs a centre half. You know, I just don't think we've got enough.
Yeah.
And so said.
What's interesting though is that the guy I was speaking to made the point that if Tomiyasu wasn't injured, he wouldn't be panicking that much because Tomiyasu isn't that bad at centre.
Ben White would step into the middle and
exactly. But Tomiyasu was also injured, so like
injured all season, man.
Yeah. I think it's a really sad thing because I actually think he's quite a decent right back. Surprisingly, I now prefer Ben White and the relationship he has with Saka on the right side of Arsenal's game. So I don't even think switching Ben White to the centre is a good tactical move because I think it just upsets the balance of the team.
That's the point he made. I think I was shocked, but I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I'll just let him have it. He was saying that he would have played Tomiyasu at centre back, and I was like, ooh, but he was like, trust me, and I was like, okay, but
that's more about keeping White and Saka together.
Yeah, exactly.
As an attacking threat.
I assumed that's what it was.
Yeah, and I am really sorry about Tomiyasu because Tomiyasu and Tierney because they're both good players, but the truth is they just can't stay fit.
Yeah,
it's just incredible. You go from one game to the next, and it's like these guys are not even on the bench.
Yeah,
and it's woeful, man. But you know, Haaland did a job on Holding the other night, man. And you know, I felt like just going on there and bringing Holding off and putting him to sit down so he could at least have a little bit of relief because he was truly awful.
Out of his depth.
He was. And as you can see, Andrea, who's an Arsenal fan, is agreeing 100%. It was a woeful performance by Arsenal.
That Holding finish was extremely good, by the way. What on earth? Where's that coming from?
And I'll tell you the other thing that is, in fact, we'll come on to it when we look at who else is in this goal. That Golden Boot race is over, right? That's done.
Yeah, of course.
But Harry Kane, you know, got the Golden Boot last year with 22 goals. He's better than that this season, all for a lost cause, of course. But at the same time, the likes of Tony, who has really come on again this season, playing extremely well at Brentford, will be interesting to see where he goes over the next couple of seasons. What is becoming a real frustration for me is Gabriel Jesus. As every time I watch Arsenal, I keep saying to Chris, man, this guy runs up and down too much, man. He just burns too much energy in the wrong places in the pitch.
Yeah. Doesn't he have the worst conversion rate in Europe or something?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be like, but even though
honestly, man,
he should be on Kane's numbers. Honestly, the amount of chances and
he missed a lot of chances as well.
Yeah, he's not a killer. He's not a killer in front of goal.
No, and it does really make me wonder. You know, Pep let him go, and I think over the course of this season, I've kind of understood that decision because he's replaceable, because he's not very clinical. You know, of course, Pep went out and bought Haaland. Is absolutely no comparison, but Jesus, I think, finds himself too often in the wrong part of the pitch. He tries too hard.
And I guess the easy comparison to make is if we as fans are looking at the two big money signings from Ben White and Gabriel Jesus, I don't think any of us were thinking Ben White's going to be the better of these two.
When Arsenal paid 50 million for Ben White as a central defender, in fact, we talked about it on this show. You know, what an absolute waste of money that is. But he's been transformed into a right back of quite some significance, I think, in the league. And that attacking threat with Saka is probably one of the best. But Kane got 24 this season, and he's going to come up with silver, possibly. Your guy Salah seemed to have rediscovered some form as well.
Yeah, be there.
It's interesting to think that, I mean, there are plenty of, as a Chelsea fan, I know some Chelsea fans who will religiously back Hazard over Salah. I'm not one of those people. I love Hazard. I have he's got a very special place in my heart, but Salah is got to be the best, Premier League winger. I don't think there's any other Premier League winger in history that comes close.
I would have still sold him in kept Mane, though. He's too selfish. But anyway.
Do you want to talk about Mane?
Trump punches and all.
Imran can confirm this because he'll probably know, but I think this is Salah's worst season at Liverpool since he got signed.
To start off with, it was, but I think he's recovered it with the amount of goals in the Champions League. He just hits that 30-goal mark every single season. You don't see a player like it in the Premier League. Yeah. So yeah, I think
he's on the decline though. He's
on 16 goals
next
in the Premier League.
What? Listen, these guys are not going to get anywhere near Haaland, man. You know, you can see the gulf in classes there. They can forget about the golden boot now for a couple of years. Go play the trade elsewhere. It's not going to happen.
Any striker of a City will get the amount of chances that they create for Haaland as well. And Haaland fits that. Pepper's built that system around Haaland perfectly. So yeah,
it's crazy to think that if Kane is on 24 goals this season in that absolutely woeful Spurs side,
well, that's the thing I was going to.
You know,
exactly.
Like,
No, there's a lot of mutterings about him moving on this summer.
Yeah.
And you know, Man United keep talking about it as though he's going to end up there by default. But you know what? If I was Arteta, you know what I would do? Yeah. I would go and grab Kane and stick an Arsenal shirt on him.
Wow, that would
be... Isn't he an Arsenal Academy product as well?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. Because Arsenal need a clinical finisher in that number 9 position, man. And Harry Kane could be the man. Can't believe I'm saying it. But you heard it here first. Go and sign Kane, Arteta. Get him.
That Kane Saka link from the England squad and stick it at Arsenal.
Listen, I'm telling you, the guy's he's in the wrong part of London. Yeah. And there's no point in going to Manchester because, come on, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I think it would be controversial. It would be Saul Campbell all over again, but go for it, man. Go and sign the guy.
There's no way you have the money for that.
Yeah, but you know who would have done? You know, these two guys here, man. You know, once we were away and weren't having a show, these two got inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame. You know, two gentlemen that gave us so much joy and pleasure over the years. Yeah. Any outstanding moments? Wenger would have gone and got Kane, surely.
So would Fergie.
Absolutely. But you know, when you look at their record and what they've left behind by way of legacy, you know, you got to absolutely say, but these two deserve to be in the Hall of Fame by a long distance. You look at some of the names under Arsene Wenger. You know, the most appearances, Dennis Bergkamp; most goals, Thierry Henry; most assists, Dennis Bergkamp. And in the bracket, you've got Cesc Fabregas and Patrick Vieira. These guys are all World Cup winners, barring Bergkamp. You know, and it's incredible what Wenger, and I can only speak from Wenger because as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
The man absolutely transformed the club and the league.
Yeah,
you know, I do have to ask because you're probably better suited to this question. I do see a lot of people compare the rivalry between Wenger and Fergie to the rivalry of Pep and Klopp. Do you think there's a comparison?
Klopp is a fake rivalry, man. I don't buy that nonsense. It does seem a little bit fake to me, and even the rivalry between Liverpool and City don't even seem that real. It doesn't feel. It doesn't have the same authentic feeling to me. I don't buy it.
And I think that's mainly because City aren't like a culture club.
Well, you know what was really weird? Just to digress for a moment, they couldn't even sell the tickets for the FA Cup semi-final, which is absolutely bizarre.
That was weird. That was really, really strange.
How did you not sell your allocation for the FA Cup semi-final? Come on, man. Ridiculous.
Too used to winning.
I genuinely saw somebody say that. Somebody tried to make the point online. They were like, well, City have gone to Wembley so many times that at this point it's just another stadium. And you're there like, is it though? That seems like a really poor excuse if we're coming at it from that standpoint.
It is. But to bring it back to the other side of Manchester, you know, under Alex Ferguson, you've got to really admire what it takes, you know. Put Ferguson in that seat where Arteta is now. You know 100% that the mentality is going to be different, and this is where you would hope that over time Arteta would become, you know, possibly what these two guys became with, you know, because you know, let's not forget that Ferguson almost got sacked quite early in his career as well, but clinged on, and this could be quite a defining moment for Arteta, you know, walking in Wenger's steps. But I think they absolutely deserve the honor in being in the Hall of Fame, 100%.
Yeah, I think the way for Wenger, it's more the philosophy of his football and the culture that he brought.
Oh yeah,
which was completely different. But then the most impressive thing about Fergie was just the consistency to maintain a Premier League title in different eras. It's unbelievable. Like we're seeing Klopp now can barely do it within a 5 year span. That's nothing on Klopp. It is just an incredibly hard thing
to do. Absolutely.
And the fact that Fergie managed to do it so many times, it was just unbelievable. His man management and his ruthlessness. That's the main thing, is ruthlessness.
The ability to know when some player. I remember when Lee Sharp left Man United, and people were like, what? And then Conchelsis was gone, and then Paul Ince was gone. It was like, wait, where's he getting rid of these players? The ability to know when some player, Stam was gone. It's like, wow. But the ability to know when some players no longer work for your system or are not the right players for the club anymore.
100%. Yeah.
And just keep rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding over the period that he did it. Phenomenal. We'll never see that again. Never.
Yeah.
So, great call from the Hall of Fame there. So look, we're into the back end now. This is definitely the last 5 games of the season for Arsenal. You know, as I said earlier, I don't know, man. We beat Leeds on the 1st of April, and that was it for April.
Big games, you know. Like, I mean, I'm expecting to get absolutely hammered at the Emirates, by the way, but
I am not so sure anymore. I think the team has lost its confidence. They just look shell-shocked.
The thing is, we literally don't have anything to play for.
Yeah, but you can forget how to win, and I think Arsenal have forgotten how to win.
We haven't scored in 5 games.
You might score on Tuesday.
I do think this is the perfect game for Arsenal to have afterwards, because it's a top 6 game, and it's the easiest top 6 game you'll get in years and years and years.
Yeah.
But you see, I thought that against Southampton. I don't know, man. I don't know. Chelsea will come to the Emirates up for it on Tuesday night, even though they're woeful.
Yeah,
they'll come up for it on Tuesday. Newcastle are not going to be any easy turnover because they are absolutely flying and they are in great form. Yeah. So too are Brighton.
Yeah,
you know?
What a team Brighton are! Wow.
Yeah, and Forest are playing for their survival. So the next 4 games,
too, man. They went and got a point off Liverpool, and they've gone 3 points off Brighton. If the next 2 games go their way, I mean, they do have a very difficult running, because I think they've got United to play as well. But I mean, they're playing like they can beat you. So
the only one of these games I can really confidently call now is Arsenal beating Wolves at the Emirates on the last day of the season.
Yeah, because I think by then Wolves will most likely be safe.
They'll be on the beach.
Yeah.
Right. But I just don't see how we're gonna win. We've forgotten how to win games. So sadly, unless West Ham and Fulham do us a favour over the course of this week and halt the progress of City, I think we've handed them the league for this season. Mm-hmm. Your guys still smiling though, because this team has come back well.
About time we put together a mini run of form. But like I said, every time I'm not going to fall for anything this season. So I'm not.
Wait, what? You're not going to Spurs on Sunday? Even?
I mean, you never know. I'd like to see what lineup we can come out with. I think if Konate starts, that'll be a massive plus for us. But I will be confident that we're very lucky that the next 3 games are home games. That's big for us. So even though we've had a poor season, we still don't really lose at home that much. So I think the next 3 games, if we can churn out the wins, then maybe we can finish very strong and push for 5th. But yeah, I mean, it wouldn't. Don't put it past Liverpool smashing Spurs and then losing to Fulham and Brentford.
Yeah, Fulham I thought were on a really, really positive, good run.
The rich band, isn't it?
Yeah. But they've hit a little bit of a barrier. But they've been winning without him.
Yeah, we say it's a lot. They've got a good enough squad depth.
They have. But you've got to play Leicester. You've got to play Southampton. Points in the bag, man. Come on.
Yeah, should.
Well, you would hope so.
The game against Villa will be a very big game.
Oh yeah.
That will be, and Villa will put everything into that.
Actually, that's potentially a 6-pointer. Actually,
yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Villa have had some decent results against Liverpool in recent seasons, so that's gonna and that's gonna be it's that Anfield.
Yeah.
So tough game.
But Villa have been better at home than at home under Emery, weirdly.
Yeah. Now, how have Chelsea not even managed to scrape 40 points this season, man?
I can't believe I'm looking at Lampard's face. Episode 1, this had people on it.
We had to get rid of Potter. Took out the Potter to Lampard. You know, it's like, oh my word. Crazy. 39 points.
Wow.
And minus 5 goal difference. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, right, I really don't see that goal difference getting any better.
But look at who you've got to come.
Exactly.
So you got players, but I think that's that's neither here nor there for me. Bournemouth are a really, really difficult side to beat. Right? Forest going to be
home as well.
Do us a favor against City if you can, but I don't think you will.
I mean,
Man United is always going to be a difficult game at Old Trafford.
And
You've got Newcastle at home for the last day of the season.
Oh, it's not looking good.
It really isn't. No.
Chelsea might barely scrape 40 points. That's incredible.
Like maybe 5 weeks ago, I was saying, all right, well, we'll finish in 11th because we're not going to catch the teams above us, but we're too far ahead of the teams below us to, fall down. And then we lost the next 5 games, and now we're like Villa. Like, let me just put this into perspective for you, right? So, like,
let's just put them big for a moment.
When Graham Potter was sacked, Villa were below us in the table. They were a place below, and then Wolves were a place below them. And now we're still 11th. Villa are like what, 7th, 6th, and Wolves are now 8th after winning the last 3 games, one of which was against us. And it's like, we just keep handing out 3 points. Like, I mean, I made the point like weeks ago saying like we gave 6 points to Southampton, but nowadays we're just giving points to everybody who wants.
It's the fact that it's losses rather, like you're not even scraping draws.
You know what I mean?
Every single time it's a loss. Like a big 6 team just should not be losing that consistently.
There's got to be some kind of record there because I'm not sure that you've seen a top 6 side in the Premier League who has subsequently gone on in a season afterwards from the heights of Chelsea to not try to to get to the ceiling of 40 points, which is broadly considered safety in the Premier League for most seasons. Chelsea are struggling.
Yeah, it really does feel like Newcastle are just grabbing our top 6 status straight from our hands.
Yeah, but nobody kind of expected Newcastle to be where they are this season at this point, and neither did they expect Arsenal.
Fair play. Yeah, I mean, we expected Newcastle to do well, but they're flying.
Yeah, they've overachieved a little bit like us this season. But, let's see what happens in the next game because that's always the most important one. And you come to the Emirates on Tuesday. This is a long game. Week 34 is a long one.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's quite a few tasty ones in there. So City go away to Fulham. And, of course, they'll be home to West Ham. And
United Villa's quite a big game.
United Villa, I was going to say.
Yeah, United Villa and United Brighton. Repeat of the semi-final.
Yeah.
Brighton will be up for that for sure. Leicester Everton will be an absolute cracker.
Yeah.
Everton
as well.
Everton have got some serious problems.
Yeah.
And then of course Newcastle will keep these 4s and 5s and 6s that they're hammering at the moment against Southampton, possibly, because they just seem to be scoring for fun at the moment. So there are a lot of very, very good fixtures to come in game week 34, including that one that's kicking off tomorrow, actually, Crystal Palace and West Ham.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with David Moyes and how things have changed somewhat for West Ham, because not so long ago he was in the sack race,
They're still in the, is it the semi-final now of the Conference League as well?
Well, even them can have a better season than Arsenal. But anyway, but Moyes has really had a little bit of a remarkable change in the latter part of the season, which is good for West Ham. So we'll see how they kick it off at 12:30 tomorrow. Well, look, let's look at the table. It makes grim reading. You would remember I've been so delighted to put this up in previous shows. Look at that. Look at Arsenal at the top.
Look at that. Seriously, man. Seriously, lost, draw, lost. 39 points, right? Listen, man, we are 10 points off the relegation zone. There's the same amount of points between the relegation zone and us as there is between us and 8th place. Seriously.
This is absolutely shocking. This is Chelsea FC. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Like I'm saying, with the context that they have spent the most out of any club ever in the Premier League season, it's just it's unfathomable how bad.
The truth is, your record is exactly the same as Southampton.
No, that's exactly the point I was about to make. The only 2 teams that have a worse record than us in terms of form are Everton and Southampton, and those are the teams below us. Including the teams below us, the only teams with a worse form record than us Everton and Southampton.
Oh, I absolutely love this. I love this. Chelsea are going to get nowhere near the Champions League next season.
Nope.
And that is going to have massive, massive ramifications for that huge squad that they have. So, that will bring its own challenges. It's going to be really interesting to see who goes in there, if Poch goes in there as manager. Why would he? I mean, I don't know. But, hey, there's just too much conflicts to manage at Chelsea. You can have too many players in a squad.
Yeah.
and that's Chelsea's problem at this point in time. Arsenal haven't won a game for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And we're clinging on to that top spot at the moment. And, City with their 2 games at hand will likely try and overtake us. But hey, strange things do happen in football.
You're right. not with this City robot.
Strange things do happen in football. Liverpool have recovered their form somewhat, actually.
Somewhat, yeah.
There was a period of the season where we thought, Liverpool were dunging around Chelsea, actually, that 11th, 10th.
Mm-hmm.
But they've come back. And,
change up the system, and it's a bit promising for next season. Gives us a bit of hope. But
I think a strong finish for Liverpool, pipping Spurs, would be very helpful.
Yeah,
I think that top 4 is set. I think it's the 5th and 6th that is going to be the interesting race at this point in the season now.
Yeah, and I think the form is between Liverpool and Aston Villa.
Don't rule out Brighton, by the way.
Yeah, they're coming.
2 games in hand.
And they've got 2, absolutely. 3 on Villa.
Yeah, that loss to Forest must hurt quite a bit, though.
Yeah.
But
at least Forest are out the bottom 3. So.
Yeah. So, that's how it looks. And we got to wait and see how much longer I'm going to be wearing this black shirt and all that it conjures up, because this has been a terrible
I can tell you for a
week.
fact that if that 2010-11 black kit that we had still fitted me, I'd be wearing it for the entire year.
Well, there you have it, folks. That was our look back at game week 33, and game week 34 is ahead of us. Until next time, we will see you when we are next on the football show. Over and out.
Bye.
See you soon.